Rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Meat Potato Show, conservative talk and awesome rock on KTNTRadio.com.
Good morning, Senators. If I may, I'd like to begin by making a statement for the record. The file indicates that Ezra Kramer authorized
The President convened an emergency cabinet meeting today to discuss the growing scandal over an alleged government assassination program codenamed Blackbriar. CIA Director Ezra Kramer is under criminal investigation for authorizing the program, which in several cases may have even targeted U.S. citizens. Two agency officials have already been arrested. Dr. Albert Hirsch, the alleged mastermind of the Blackbriar program, and CIA Deputy Director Noah Vost, the program's operational chief. Meanwhile, mystery surrounds the fate of David Webb, also known as Jason Bourne, the source behind the exposure of the Blackbriar program. It's been reported that Webb was shot and fell from a Manhattan rooftop into the East River 10 stories below. However, after a 3-day search, Webb's body has yet to be found.
Good evening, America, and welcome once again to 3 action-packed hours on the Meat Potato Show, conservative talk and awesome rock. Broadcasting 1,000 watts of power here on the KTNT Radio Network. My good guest, Ted Busiek, running for State Senate here in Massachusetts against Jamie Eldridge. Can't wait to talk to him. Helmets and safety glasses, folks. Strap in. We'll be crash landing soon. Well, once more, unto the breach. And we're filming this too. We're on the Meat Potatoes Ditto cam here. So I have the great pleasure of not only doing this radio gig that I do, filming and working as the media liaison for the Worcester Tea Party here in central Massachusetts. And I think it was at our last free educational event that I was introduced to my guest tonight, who came in. And one of the things that I had been saying to the Tea Party for a while, we did this before. We had candidates not necessarily join the Tea Party, or we didn't endorse them necessarily, but we had them join our venues, join our events for 2 reasons. One, they brought in numbers, they brought in people. It was always great to see them. I remember in 2010, 2011, and 2012, we had some of the candidates. That has petered off. But what we're doing is, because there's a new board of which I am a member of, we're slowly changing that, and we're bringing back the candidates. Long story short, my guest came in and I was introduced. And so I immediately put my foot in his door and I said, you gotta get on my show. I do a series called the Candidate Interview Series, been doing it for 8 years. We had our symposium in 2014, we're gonna be doing another one later on this fall. And so, ladies and gentlemen, running for State Senate against Jamie Eldridge here in the state of Massachusetts, Ted Busiek. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And he's flying in here quite literally at 0 hour, because he just came back from an interview at Fox 25. So how'd that go? You don't have to spill secrets, but how'd that go?
You know, you never know until they aired. We probably talked for 30 minutes. I said all kinds of esoteric stuff. They're gonna edit it.
They're gonna cut it up to 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're gonna edit
Ted
it down.
Busiek said this.
Exactly. So you never know what they're gonna do. This is where you get the real Ted Busiek is right here.
Exactly. This is uncensored. This is live. It's going out across the nation. But what was your take on that? Did you think? What do you think they're gonna do?
You know, the gal who interviewed me, her name was Crystal. She was super charming. I want to believe in the goodness of normal people, so I hope that they'll give me a fair shake.
There you go. Good. Great. What'd you talk about? What was the topic? What was the...
So the topic was sort of a Twitter firestorm that...
Right, I think Devin had said something to me about that there was... He called me, he says, oh, something blew up today, we gotta go, so take
Right,
it
so
from here.
I've been making increasingly provocative statements on Twitter, and one of them finally caught fire. Jamie Eldridge, my
You got your cell
feckless
phone? Where is it? Bring up the Twitter. Keep talking. Go ahead.
said like, oh well, you should get out of the race because of your language, and because you're transphobic. I mean, the first thing that I did wrong was I referred to men who want to use women's restrooms as perverts.
Excuse me, weren't the two, you're younger than me, Devin's younger than me, but weren't we raised as like, that's the men's room, that's the women's room?
And it's really simple to me.
It's kind of like you have to brush your teeth, you have to make your bed, that's the men's room, that's the women's room.
Right. So there's no way I'm going to back down on this. A guy who insists on barging into the women's restroom, on interrupting the privacy of a woman's bathroom in order to validate his gender identity or whatever, that's a pervert. If there's anybody in the world who fits that definition of that word, I know it's not a nice word, it's a pejorative word, it's somebody who insists on taking away a woman's bathroom privacy.
Here comes Devin, bring it over here.
So then
go ahead, read it.
So then it gets, okay, here we go.
Go ahead, read it.
All right, this is from Jamie Eldridge. I'll try to do his voice. Ted, your use of hateful, homophobic slurs and homophobia are unacceptable. You should consider dropping out of the race. So the second thing that I did wrong was I referred to a politician, not in a sexual way, not in a gay, not in anything to do with gay, with using a very naughty word, Chris, that nobody should ever say, and I was even scandalized myself that I would use it.
This is uncensored radio.
Okay. So I called a politician a faggot. You almost choked. You almost choked when I said that.
No.
So here's my concern.
I don't.
Here's my concern. Let me just tell you right off the bat why I am running for office. Okay.
Go ahead.
I've been paying attention to politics since I was 14, and here's what I've noticed. In Massachusetts, there's two parties. There's the party that attacks the working class, and there's the party that distracts the working class.
Yes, absolutely.
We have a political party, a dominant party in power, who spends their time attacking people like me and our interests. And then we have a Republican Party whose role is to provide a safety valve, a safe outlet for the frustration of people like you and me that will never in any way threaten the power or the control of the establishment left. So what I'm doing is I'm running a campaign to challenge our culture, right? I might win or lose the election. I intend to win. We're running like crazy. We're running like mad. I was out on Independence Day. I had 4 volunteers with me. There were 5 of us. We were hitting the big parades. I saw Jamie Eldridge go by in a car, right? Like a sedan. Like the windows were rolled up. I didn't even know if it was him inside because the windows were kind of dark. Like it was just a sedan with his name on the side. But all the windows were rolled up because it was, it was a very hot day. So I guarantee you they had the AC on. Meanwhile, me and four hard-working young studs were out there sweating, shaking people's hands, putting push cards in people's hands. Everybody I talked to was like, why has nobody done this already? When I tell people what I want to do, when I tell them what I want to achieve, they're like, well, how come they aren't already doing this, right? So I'm running to win. But here's the thing, Chris, is that I am not willing to contort myself into some unobtrusive, harmless, bland, effectless political ghost.
You're supposed to shake it up. That's your job.
Exactly. What I want to do is make a splash, get attention, drive the conversation in the direction I want it to go, right? In the direction that I want it to go. And you don't do that by running to never offend the sensibilities of the social justice left.
What will end up happening is you get this weird calming effect that's all over society where everybody just kind of accepts it's almost like a mantra. It's almost like kind of like that meditation noise that you make, that everybody seems to be on the same keel. Somebody like you, somebody like Donald Trump is really shaking the whole thing up, and they're really sticking it to the craw of not only their opponents, but even to this whole mainstream media, which is why they wanted you on Fox 25, where they want to get you on record somehow. It'll be interesting to see the thing later on tonight at the 11 o'clock news.
Well, Jamie tried to make it a game.
But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to, all right, let's get this guy leashed. Let's put a collar on him.
Yep.
Let's leash him in.
Yep. And that's sort of the bait and switch. I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but it's kind of what I was hoping for here, because Jamie, very predictably, tried to make it into a gay thing. Like, oh, well, anybody who uses the language of a common person, anybody who talks like a normal, uncouth hoi polloi, one of those wretched working class people, anybody who talks like that is probably a bigot. And
it's a huge insult to I'd say about 85% of America. It's a huge insult.
But it's an insult to that for my generation. Oh, you mean that he would say that? Yeah, absolutely. Now, the word that I used is absolutely for my generation and for
you're
everybody.
A faggot. Stop acting like a faggot.
Exactly. And every social.
Pull up your pants and stop acting like a faggot.
Every social circle I've ever traveled in, from the military to working an office job to be sitting in a classroom at a college, it's always been a pejorative that connotes an obnoxious, irritating person. It hasn't been. I don't think it's
not homophobic.
Yeah,
folks.
I don't think it's been a sexual term since like the 1980s.
I know, really.
But this is how dated these.
I got news for you. I have gay friends. Even they will say, "Stop being a faggot."
Right. But this is how dated these dinosaur social justice warriors are. They're so desperate.
Social justice.
That's what they are. They're so desperate for an avenue to offense taking. They are addicted to outrage. And so they'll jump on anything. It's all about buzzwords and code words for them. And if you speak the wrong language, then you get classified as a bigot. And if you speak the rarefied, ossified language of the left, where everything fits into this weird metric of of leftist thinking, well, then maybe you can have a debate on their terms. I'm not prepared to do that.
No, I wouldn't expect that. I don't do that either. We don't get a lot of lefts calling into the show or even listening even to the show. Well, liberalism is a mental disorder, folks. It really is. We're always in a position where we have to argue on their terms.
Exactly.
But they never, ever put themselves in a position where they have to argue on our terms. Because if they had to argue on our terms, they would be eviscerated.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Trump and Clinton debates. I really, really can't. He is going to gut her like a fish live on stage. The audience is going to applaud, his numbers are going to jump, and the left-wing media is going to do what, Ted?
Well, predictably, they're going to try to frame it that he's a bigot. But really what's going to happen is they're going to implode and their credibility is going to crumble.
What do you think of this thing that happened today with the FBI? And you were telling me off mic you weren't too well versed, but basically what happened in the FBI, Director Comey, he basically said that even though she may have used bad judgment, she didn't intend to give away classified information to our enemies, and that no sane prosecutor would prosecute this case. So they're not going ahead with this. And as I said to you off mic, it's like, you know what, folks? You know what, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I didn't intend to kill that entire family when I got blind, stinking drunk and drove down the wrong side of the street. It wasn't my intention, folks. It wasn't my intention, Your Honor. So go ahead, Ben.
No, that is a perfect analogy. Look, I served in the military. I was in the military until I had a clearance. I had to sign NDAs. If I had done a fraction of what she did, I mean, we know that she lost information, that she actually leaked information.
Mm-hmm.
If I had just put information at risk of getting leaked by exercising the kind of abysmal, execrable OPSEC that she exercised, I would still be in Leavenworth.
Yeah, exactly. Rush Limbaugh even said, it's like, okay, so let's say she didn't intend to do this. Rush Limbaugh went on to say, really, this is the woman you want to be president? I mean, she didn't intend to, fumble the ball here. So really, you want her in a position of leadership here?
What a misogynistic thing for him to say.
I know, he's so terrible. He's horrible. He's horrible.
I'm appalled.
20 million plus listeners every single day.
It's just misogyny. People are just hating on her because she's, it's time for Hillary, it's time for a woman, and I'm with her. And they say that there's not a lot of strong, masculine men on the Hillary team, but I'm here to prove that that's not true.
That's excellent. That's fantastic.
You should see how fast I run when I take my Cocker Spaniel for a walk. All right, I'm in shape. I'm basically like a dude bro.
That's fantastic. That's great.
I'm all in for Hill. Yeah, no, it's, I don't understand that. I don't understand how anybody...
There's so much in front. Hello, I say on my show all the time, you gotta look the storm in the eye. Look at it, folks, it's right in front of your face. See, look, it's right there. I mean, her husband gets on an airplane, they talk for a half hour for grandchildren. And it's like, are you serious? And then a few days later, after everyone's distracted from the 4th of July, this comes down? You don't have to hit me twice with a tire iron, folks, to say, let me know that there's something wrong here. There's something going on. And I think if Trump is a smart guy and you're a smart guy, if you do this, this is it. This is it. Again, look, folks, it's right there in front of your face. Look, this is exactly what's going on. Take it from here.
I couldn't agree more. I'm flattered to be put in the same category with Trump in terms of being a smart guy. I don't think, in terms of being a political mastermind and madman, I don't think I even come close, but he's certainly an inspiration.
Well, again, you had said earlier about how, you speak the language. You just get right down to brass tacks. None of this promises you can't keep. None of this other talking points that we just hear so many times.
A poll-tested, rarefied, like I said,
14 million Twitter followers he's got. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly right. And my thing is, I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. I'm not a politician. I'm just a guy who was disgusted with the choices that he had, so I decided, okay, I'll run for office. I'm not going to change the way that I talk or the way that I behave or the way that I approach things to fit the mold that has never worked and never been effective. What I'd rather do is represent to the people supporting me, the people watching me, just like Trump does to guys like you and me. Look you don't have to accept the terms of the debate that the left is setting out for you. Just call it like it is.
See it as it is.
Exactly.
Let's segue, because you had said it. Let's tell us about Ted. Tell us about where you came from, your military background. Tell us about yourself.
I mean, I'm kind of a local yokel. I was born in Cambridge. I grew up in Arlington and Acton, so I've lived in Massachusetts all my life, except for when work has taken me out of state. But I've always come back like a fish swimming upstream. I did serve in the military. I was an Arabic translator.
I was going to say, what's your MOD there?
Yeah, I was an Arabic translator. I really enjoyed it. I got my associate's degree from the Defense Language Institute, which is an Army-run school out in California. So I got to get a degree. I got paid to get a degree and learn a foreign language. It's amazing. People thank me for my service, and I love that they would do that. Right? It's very obviously, I take it with great humility, but I almost want to thank them, thank you for paying your taxes, because it was such a blast, A, and it was such a great opportunity, B. So after that, I went back to school for a little bit, and then I worked for a sales and marketing firm on the South Shore for a while. Really great place, very sleek, effective operation. I learned a lot about getting attention and marketing yourself, and how not to lose control of a conversation if you're trying to sell something. In this case, I'm trying to sell myself. Finally, I went back to school on the GI Bill, which is amazing.
You sure, right?
And I had been studying mechanical engineering. So I might have to put that on hold when I, sail to a crushing victory in November. But in the crazy off chance that right, in the crazy off chance that I don't, I've got school waiting for me. So I've got my life is filled with options. I'm having so much fun. I love this. I love meeting people who say to me, "I want to say what you're saying, but I feel like these bullies on the left are going to jump down my case." Thank you.
That's what it is.
Right.
That's what it's bullying. Let's look at Black Lives Matter for a moment. One of the things I had said on my show several times in the past was I had been looking at the Trump rallies, and I had been watching the mob riots that happened. And because I'm a big historian, I love history, and my big thing is World War II history.
All right.
And I came, it was like I'm watching one of these nights, and I'm watching these riots go on, and it hit me like an epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, where have I seen this before? And I went and got a couple of my books, and I started using the term. I used it several times on my show. These are the brown shirts. Because back in Hitler's day, if any opposition, anyone who spoke out, any type of protest, anything, the brown shirts would show up, and what would they do? They'd riot, they'd club you to death, they'd smash things, they'd set cars on fire, they'd smash your windows. Guess what? Hello, turn on the TV.
Right.
That's exactly what's happened. This is the modern day version of the brown shirts. In fact, and some people have said, no, Chris, you're wrong. No, these people are, because this is exactly what Hitler did, and then eventually he mobilized them. And what are we seeing now? We're seeing some of these people getting mobilized, they're getting bussed in now, they're getting paid to do this, and they're creating all of this havoc to try not just to alter the conversation, but to completely snuff it out. Sorry about that, but take it from here.
No, I think it's there's a huge irony playing out here. I mean, we kind of live in the shadow of World War II. A lot of our social perspectives, a lot of our technological advances. I mean, it would be a very different world and a different society if we didn't. But one of the legacies of it is that for the left, anybody who they don't like, the immediate analogy is Hitler. And so, of course, it's just the same tired playbook. Donald Trump, it's going to be another Shoah. He's Hitler all over again, right? And in the meantime, if you look at the facts on the ground, the people who are roughing people up at rallies, the people who are smashing windows, right? Yeah, I'm not. It's weird. But the old ladies in the stretch pants and the sun hats going to the Trump rallies, I never feel threatened by them. And I never see them smashing windows.
And I've been to a half a dozen Second Amendment rallies, and I'm there filming and doing my stuff, and everyone's armed and packing, open carrying.
There you
and
go.
It's like, and I'm not like shuddering with fear. I'm actually like, I have that, again, the word epiphany. I have that epiphany where I say, God, I'm in the safest place on the planet.
Well, yeah.
Nothing's going to happen here.
Robert Heinlein said an armed society is a polite society, and I think that's absolutely true.
I completely concur with that.
Yeah, you never saw...
Heinlein, great author. I just finished his book, The Moon is the Heart's Mistress. Another story about independence and a revolution. Absolutely great story there. So, you're out, what are you doing now? You're just meeting people on the street, you're meeting... tell us about your campaign and what's your itinerary? What's happening?
Basically, there's a few things that I'm doing, kind of different components. I am going to events, I'm going to media interviews like this, never as classy or as cool as this one so far, but
he's being kind.
But I'm on days when my schedule isn't packed with that, I just want to spend all my time canvassing. I love it. Knocking on people's doors, you get that chance to make that first impression and say, hey, do you think are you satisfied with what's going on at Beacon Hill? Do you feel like you've been sold a bill of goods? Because I feel that way. Do you want to see an ordinary, normal person who, thinks like you and talks like you? And people are like, we had these access to these like walk books. And the walk book is like the way it works is you go around and canvas and you just knock on the right doors, and I never pass somebody by. Like if I see somebody in a driveway or whatever, so I guess the long story short is you kind of throw out the walk book. You see anybody you meet.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You just grab it. You're like, okay, look at this house. There's obviously people in there. There's cars in the driveway. Let's just go talk to them. And I've had Democrats, lots of Democrats, a thrilling number of Democrats say, yes, we are sick and tired. 20,000 Democrats in Massachusetts switched registrations prior to the Republican primary.
That's unbelievable. It's happened, well, that's our numbers, it's happening all across the country.
Yeah, and that was before March. How many more have left since then?
What's the district? Jamie Elder said, what is that?
It looks like, if you look at it on a map, it looks like a snake. It's very gerrymandered.
Yeah.
They do that because Jamie is an extreme leftist.
So that you can get the voters who are going to vote for you.
Exactly. But it starts in Shirley and it snakes its way all the way down to Westboro and Northborough by way of Littleton, Air, Harvard, Acton, Maynard, Stowe, Hudson, Marlborough, all the boroughs are in there. You name it, Southborough, Westboro, Northborough. It's a beautiful district. I love it so much. It couldn't be it's like all the nicest towns. I mean, Worcester excluded, obviously, but outside of Worcester, all the most
Worcester's
beautiful.
a pit.
He said it, folks. It was him. He said it. Okay.
We're trying, but
it's a beautiful city of Marlborough.
Yeah, I grew up in Northborough. No, that whole area, and as a contractor, I've worked up in Stowe and Maynard and all those areas. It is. I love I never take the main highways. I always take 62 or 110 up through those back roads. It's beautiful.
It's a lot of like working class people who can afford to live a middle class life, which is my vision of the American dream. Some of the towns, Acton, Sudbury, Harvard, are getting a little yuppified, but they're good people. We like them too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, here we go to taxes. The state is. We were just talking about Uber off microphone. Massachusetts legislators. They find a way to tax anything at all points in time. In fact, it's a Western phenomenon. Daniel Hannan, who's a European Union parliamentarian, he wrote in the National Review, and I quote him. He says, "It's a uniquely Western phenomenon to regulate everything," And Ted was just talking about Uber. They're going to get charged, 10 cents a mile, a tax on it?
It's like a 10 cents a trip. Well, first of all, can I say, I was not expecting to come to an interview where my interlocutor would be quoting Daniel Hannan. So let me shake your hand on being so well versed. But
what I do.
It's a very, very blatant attempt to compensate for the taxi cab industry's inability to compete with a shifting marketplace. It's basically taxi cab protectionism, and as a great bonus, another way to rip us off for more money.
Yeah, there was also a John Stossel interview on his program some time back where he interviewed, and I'm just going off of memory here, some directorate, or whatever you want to call them, of the taxi cab industry in New York City. And it's kind of around the same thing that Ted and I were talking about, is that they are putting in place all sorts of restrictions. Like, in order to get a taxi cab license, you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars, you have to take all these classes, you have to produce all these work permits, insurance. And the way Stossel said to the director was, it seems like you're purposely putting in these roadblocks to stifle competition. And the guy answers with, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And so the same thing's happening here. Anytime, it's so bizarre. Anytime that there's any type of new type of industry, somebody with an idea that comes out and wants to start marketing it or trying to put it out there, the very first thing these politicians want to do is somehow tax it or regulate it.
Yeah.
And it's squashing. And let's segue into that. Massachusetts has either a zero or a negative business growth here in the state. There is nobody going around with their new invention saying, what state do I want to start my business in? I want one that's tax friendly, someone that's going to help me out, get maybe some cheap loans to get a building going, hire some employees. I know Massachusetts, because that state is so tax friendly. Go ahead, take it from
Yeah,
here.
well, I mean, I wanna go a step further. I mean, you said negative, so I want to make sure we set the picture correctly here. It isn't just that young, bright entrepreneurs aren't, I mean, we have some things to be proud of. We have, I think, the biotech sector. There's some good tech firms here that are startups. I'm not saying there's none of that, and those people are great, and I love them. But it isn't just that we're missing out because we're not tax friendly. Massachusetts used to be a manufacturing mecca.
Sure.
Right? And we're hemorrhaging.
Tobacco too in the Deerfield Valley down there. Yeah, that's all closed down.
Sure. Well, tobacco, all the things that are, all the fun stuff that the left loves to hate in its remote. We have arms manufacturers leaving the state.
Exactly.
Why would you want to make guns in Massachusetts? Beacon Hill is so hostile to your industry. Well, of course I'm going to go to New Hampshire, right? So, we are hemorrhaging our legacy. We're hemorrhaging our legacy as mighty Massachusetts, the capital of manufacturing. Gardner is the furniture manufacturing capital of the country. Leominster is one of the plastics manufacturing capitals of the country. Are we suffering under the illusion that we're going to be able to hang on to this if we don't do something to stop the bleeding here?
No, we're not going to be able to stop the bleeding unless we get actual substantive change in there. And this, you were saying that, it made me think of this, that, okay, let's say we turn the tide. Let's say we get some people in there that are business friendly, I'm going to use the word, Republicans. And not just rhino Republicans, real constitutional minded Republicans who get down and do the hard work. The state is so effed up right now. The country is so effed up right now. Our heads are so far up our asses that even all you guys are going to be able to do is just either slow it down or stop it. We haven't even started to talk about reversing it. We haven't even started to talk about peeling back the regulations. You guys have your work cut out for you. How do you... This is a daunting task. What do you think?
It is, but I can't be a pessimistic person or I wouldn't be running for office, right? So Andrew Breitbart said politics is downstream from culture. So what I'm looking at is, and you know what else?
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
So the other thing is cultural change happens really fast. You mentioned Daniel Hannan. UKIP was this weird political anomaly, some obscure little oddball political party 15 years ago.
Look what it turned into.
Yeah, exactly. They achieved their whole ambition. And they didn't even achieve it, by the way, they didn't even achieve it by dominating the government. They didn't have to. They pushed a new narrative. They changed the public perception. So, what I want to see is people saying, okay, the left is outraged when we violate their cultural sacred cows. Shouldn't we be outraged when they say they're going to take more of our money? On the one hand,